The moment the screen fades in, you're hit with silence. Haunting, heavy silence before a single tear, a shattered watch, and the echoes of loss remind you that The Last of Us isn't just a show. It's pain, it's memory, it's vengeance. Season 2, Episode 3 of The Last of Us has just dropped, and after the heartbreak of last week's events, following it up was always going to be a tough task. Yet, with a deeply emotional and powerful opening, this episode managed to carry over the weight of Joel's death while setting the stage for what's to come. Ellie and Dina are on a path of retribution, determined to seek justice, or more accurately, revenge, for Joel's brutal murder. When the council denies their plea for support, the two decide to act alone, pushing forward with their own mission. Yes, this episode moved slowly, but it felt intentional, like the calm before an inevitable storm. It gave space for grief to breathe and for the weight of what's ahead to settle in. The opening sequence was masterfully done. Picking up from the last episode's ending, it didn't let us forget what had been lost. Images of infected bodies burning in silence. Those flames acting as the only source of light set a chilling tone. This wasn't just about Joel anymore. The entire Jackson community had suffered. Though Joel's death was personal, the destruction touched everyone, and this reminder added layers to the pain. Tommy's scene washing his brother's lifeless body was devastating. His final words, "Give Sarah my love," hit with brutal emotional force. The watch, Sarah's gift to Joel, now shattered, carried symbolic weight. It was more than just a broken timepiece. It marked the end of an era. That moment hinted at finality. The original two characters who started the journey were now both gone. Expecting to see just Joel and Tommy in that room, the sight of numerous covered bodies made it all even more tragic. Jackson was hit hard, and it all rippled from Abby's actions. It raised that painful question. Was Joel's life more important than all the others lost? The council's vote against forming a pursuit team felt more understandable in that context. They had to consider the community, not just one man. Then came Ellie's awakening, alone, disoriented, and quietly falling apart. A single tear traced down her cheek as she relived Joel's death, and her haunting scream pierced the silence, letting us feel every ounce of the trauma still gripping her. It made it clear, her journey wasn't just about justice, it was personal. It was revenge. The end of the episode showed Ellie and Dina leaving Jackson behind. Seth helped them escape, bringing supplies and siding with them in a surprising twist. His reason was rooted in fear. If they didn't stand up for themselves, it would invite more danger. It's been 3 months since Joel's death. In that time, Abby and her group, Owen, Manny, and Nora, had returned to Seattle, where WLF, Washington Liberation Front, was based. Ellie and Dina thought they were heading into a small conflict, an isolated militia opposing Fedra. But it becomes clear they have no idea how large and militarized WLF really is. The glimpses we get of their equipment make it obvious that Ellie and Dina are walking into something far more dangerous than expected. This episode also introduced a mysterious cult traveling the outskirts of Seattle. Dressed in green robes, marked with Glasgow smiles, and devoted to a long-lost prophet, this group, called the Seraphites, added a new religious element to the story. Their reliance on bows and melee weapons gave them a medieval edge, a stark contrast to the high-powered wolf faction. Their way of survival was distance, not aggression. A moment that stood out was when a child named Constance received a hammer and expressed feeling safer with it, only for the entire cult to later be found slaughtered, including children. It's highly implied that Wolf was responsible, which adds to their growing image as an unstoppable, ruthless force. Joel's murder was our first glimpse into that cruelty, but this massacre cemented their brutal nature. Ellie's emotional journey in this episode was subtle yet deep. Initially, she masked her pain, pretending to be okay to convince the hospital staff she was fit for discharge. But you could see the cracks, especially when she left the hospital. Her expression shifted from composed to hollow. She then walked into Joel's house, avoiding the garage where he'd spent most of his time. Inside, everything felt like a ghost. His clothes still hanging, his presence everywhere. She broke down, smelling one of his shirts to feel close to him again. She has regrets. The last conversation she had with Joel was an argument, and now she's left carrying that weight. Visiting Joel's grave at the end and placing coffee beans on it, a quiet tribute to something he loved, was a symbolic gesture. From this point forward, everything she does is for him. There was a brief mention of Eugene again, and a hint that Joel may have done something to him, something that's yet to be revealed. That mystery lingers, adding tension to the emotional undercurrent. In terms of the episode as a whole, it was solid, not exceptional, but necessary. It was clear this was a setup episode, moving the story 3 months ahead and setting the foundation for the second half of the season. The emotional beats with Tommy and Ellie were the standout moments, with Ellie's journey rivaling the emotional intensity of episode 2's ending. The slow pace was a bit jarring at times, and the structure felt slightly disjointed. Still, the foreshadowing of Wolf's true threat and the introduction of the Seraphites were effective, and they built a sense of growing danger. The performances, as always, remained strong and grounded. After watching the preview for next week, it looks like we're in for an episode packed with action and horror, potentially a return to the gripping highs this show is known for. So, what did you think of the latest episode? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're following along, don't forget to subscribe for more breakdowns. I'll see you next time.